lives. Choose liberal or conservative. Choose black or white. Choose Christian or Muslim. Choose. Pick a side. Define your tribe. Choose. How you feeling right now? It's uncomfortable to be told to choose. You over there and me over here, hunkered down in our echo chambers. How do we have a constructive conversation that bridges the divides, that reaches across difference, and helps us to have a conversation about race? These feelings and more are what people describe when they open up their social media accounts, when they head home for Thanksgiving, and some on their way to their place of worship. These feelings and more are what over 30 individuals who signed up to have a conversation about race actually expressed. They each expressed hope for better outcomes and better opportunities for themselves and their family and community members. But they also expressed fear, trepidation around saying the wrong thing in a conversation about race. What if someone thinks I'm racist? And many even expressed remorse over not saying something when they truly believe they should have. So how do we have this conversation? How do we lead into conversations that are productive and constructive? Well, I would like to offer a path to begin these conversations. I would like to offer 2 stops and 2 starts. 2 things that we can stop doing so people know we're listening, and 2 things we can start doing in order to move these conversations forward. Are you ready?
Yes.
The first stop, denying. We often deny seeing color, and we often deny having bias. Now, our colorblind friends have the best of intentions. They say, I don't see color, and I don't judge people based on the color of their skin. I have no preconceived notions of good or bad. Matter of fact, I just see people as part of one race, the human race. Well, it doesn't work out that way. As a matter of fact, there was one study where students were divided into 2 groups. Students in the colorblind group were taught a colorblind curricula, and students in Group B were taught a color and diversity affirming curriculum. Now, they were shown the same videos after these lessons. Some of these lessons were intentionally laced with discrimination against people of color. Now, what's interesting is the students in the colorblind group were 30% less likely to identify discrimination acts, and they were less likely to intervene. So what does this tell us? That this isn't just in research, this is also in real life. Daily, students of color feel rendered invisible, especially in predominantly white spaces. We have students who have left our system, and due to some of this colorblind notion, say they leave not feeling that it's okay to be brown. Yes. So colorblind, while it's well-intentioned, colorblind can render us blind to injustice, making us part of the problem and not the solution. So when we further unpack this, why do we deny? Why do we deny having bias? The research proves over and over again, it's nearly impossible to be bias-free. We're not bias-free beings, and we don't live in a bias-free culture. In fact, our society's racial bias continues to produce disadvantage for citizens of color. You see, we all have this belief here in America, we can all make it, right? This meritocratic bootstrap theology, if we all work hard enough, especially if all things being equal, right? All things being equal. Well, there's more research. The research says that all things being equal does not equate to equitable outcomes. In fact, there was a study where there were identical sets of resumes produced for different jobs. One set was given white-sounding names, and the other was given black-sounding names. And the results were surprising. Although they had identical criteria, the resumes with white-sounding names were called back twice as much as the resumes with black-sounding names. Now, again, this isn't just in research. This is in real life. In fact, this is in my life. How many of you had to consider when naming your children, the name that you give them needs to allow them to have a job years later? Well, this is true for many of us. Many of us in African American homes and other homes of color, we have to consider how will the naming, this precious exercise that each family gets to participate in, how will naming my child impact their outcomes for getting a job? My daughter's beautiful names, Nalia and Zaria, also have Renee and Denise as options for a callback. So it's not that we are opposed to a dogged work ethic and working hard to achieve a dream. We are opposed to denying that there are mechanisms that continue to perpetuate inequities in our communities. We need to stop denying. We can't look at redlining and gentrification and the school-to-prison pipeline and continue to deny. So people, it's time to stop denying. So you know what else it's time to stop doing? Credentialing. Well, what is that about? I used to be a high school principal, and I had the privilege of working with amazing teachers. And this teacher in particular was struggling to connect with students in her classroom. And as a principal, I'm sitting down having the usual conversation. Here are strategies and techniques and ways you can engage students and build rapport and move the lessons forward. And she interrupts me and tells me, you do know, I understand what it's like to be black. Okay? And I continue to have this conversation about how she can improve her teaching practices. And she insists on stopping me. I guess you figured it out now, she's white. And she continues to interrupt me and say, no, I understand completely what it's like to be black. And so I'm tired at this point, and I'm like, okay, I'll play. Do tell me. Do tell me how you know what it's like to be black. Well, my best friend is black, and she lives in New York. And when I found out I'd be working here, I decided to call her and ask her to tell me everything. And she did. And I said, did she? Well, you know where I'm going with this. If it's not the best friend, it's the family member, it's a trip to Africa. Everybody understands what it's like to be black, right? They don't want to have this equity conversation. But what this credentialing does, it often means, please excuse me from this conversation. Here are my credentials. Here are all the classes I've taken, the people I know, the things I've done. Please excuse me from this conversation. So people, it's really time for us to stop credentialing. This is not the Oppression Olympics. We are not in any way trying to dismiss any other group's experience with oppression. That is very real, and that is very important. But what we are asking is to let a conversation about race be about race. So what can we start doing? We can start owning it. Own the work to know better and to do better. I just want to share something with you, and it will be a surprise. You are part of the problem, and you are part of the solution. You are part of the problem, and you are part of the solution. If we own the work to know better and to do better, we can change things for our community. Everyone has the opportunity to learn more, to do more, to be more. There are so many things that we can read. There are books, there are podcasts. There are so many people waiting for you to hear their experience and learn this information about how to have a conversation about race. So in that, build authentic relationships. Reach out. Have a mentor that you can ask confidential questions about your concerns and curiosities. Not only that, I want to ask is while you're owning it, I want to ask that you build your stamina to lean in. Build your stamina to start and stay in conversations that will make you uncomfortable. You're going to say the wrong thing, but you will survive. And we will learn and we will grow together. We need to start owning the work. It's not someone else's job to teach you. It is all of us owning what we need to know in this conversation. And finally, because I know you're ready to get out of here, but I'm going to say my piece. Start acting. Don't wait until you know enough. Don't wait to be enough. It is time to start doing something about this situation. Micro actions make a macro impact.
Okay.
It is time for us to get busy doing the work. This will take courage. And courage means to do things in the face of fear. If you see something, say something, and be willing to do something if necessary. If you are afraid, still disrupt and repair. That is our call, that is our obligation, that is what we need to do. We need to start acting. One conversation can change things. Ongoing conversations can change the world. Small steps are starting to take place right here in Camas. People who were once blind to racist acts are now fierce advocates for racial justice and social equality. I have witnessed people leave one conversation and change hiring practices. Leave another conversation and change teaching practices. Leave another conversation and change leadership practices. These changes happen one person at a time, one conversation at a time, one decision to act at a time. Micro differences make macro impacts. It's time for you to make your impact. Can you see it? Can you see what can happen when we really start leaning in and having serious conversations about race? Can you imagine with me for just a moment? Can you imagine a society where teachers are able to eliminate outcome disparity in their classrooms? Can you imagine a society where the color of your skin or your gender or your socioeconomic status will not determine where you live or where you can buy a home or your access to college? Can you imagine that with me? Can you imagine a society where legislators do not have to pass laws to make us civil to one another? Where we don't have the most divided hour, 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Can you imagine a society where we actually come together and you're no longer over there and I'm no longer over here, but we're coming together, moving forward, reaching across difference, reaching across divides. We're making this world a better place for your children, making this world a better place for my children, making the world a better place for our children. Can you see this? Can you see this? Yeah. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Choose. Choose. Did you ask me to choose? Did you say choose? You want me to choose. Well, I choose hard conversations. I choose bold actions. And I choose